things you might not know. From the biggest flops to the greatest hits, this is Trash Can Tidbits.
Hi everyone, I'm Beaton, and welcome back to Trash Can Tidbits, and welcome to my new home. I really love it here. To say that I got a lot more room to work with here is an understatement. Now, last time I asked the question, is that actually Debbie Reynolds singing the song Would You in Singing in the Rain? The answer is no. Debbie did most of her own singing, most notably on songs like All I Do Is Dream of You and Good Morning, but she actually did not sing Would You. That job was given to Betty Noyes, a singer who also sang You Are My Lucky Star for Debbie at the end of the film. Noyes has also sung in other movie musicals of the time, including Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, White Christmas, and The Sound of Music. Her voice can also be heard singing the song Baby Mine in Dumbo. Now with that addressed, let's get started with fact number 1. Did you know that there were 2 movies about the mob in the 1990s that were based on the same book, but different in presentation and tone? Henry Hill, a mobster turned informant who eventually went into the witness protection program, served as the inspiration for the book Wise Guy by Nicholas Pileggi. That book was made into the crime classic Goodfellas in 1990. That same year, the comedy My Blue Heaven was released, starring Steve Martin as, what else, a mobster in the witness protection program, also based partially on Wise Guy. That movie was written by Nora Ephron, who was married to Nicholas Pileggi at the time. Fact 2. Did you know that a James Bond video game involved a level where the villain attempted to cause a natural disaster, but then that disaster happened in real life soon after? The game's final mission, set in New Orleans, the level Pontchartrain Bridge, has Bond racing on a motorcycle across the tidal bridge chasing after the villain Jaws, who is driving a giant tanker truck filled with nanobots, aiming to destroy the city's levees and flood the city. The game came out in February of 2004, and Hurricane Katrina happened in real life just over a year later. So while the player is successful in stopping Jaws to destroy New Orleans, the event in the game happened in real life anyway. That's creepy. Fact 3. Did you know that there was a Pink Panther movie released 2 years after the death of its main star, Peter Sellers? Sellers died in 1980, and Trail of the Pink Panther was released in 1982. The first 30 minutes or so consisted of deleted scenes and outtakes from the previous film, The Pink Panther Strikes Again, in which Inspector Clouseau was once again called to the fictional country of Lugash to investigate another theft of the Pink Panther diamond, but mysteriously disappears along the way. Obviously, the assembled footage was not enough to make a full movie, so director Blake Edwards used other characters from the franchise to trigger flashback footage from all the other movies, essentially creating a dedicated retrospective of the Clouseau character and Sellers himself. Unfortunately, at the time, this was seen in poor taste, and Sellers' widow sued United Artists and Blake Edwards for using the footage in this manner, and was awarded $1 million in damages. Fact 4. Did you know that the movie musical Kiss Me Kate featured an early choreographed performance from Broadway legend Bob Fosse? The credited choreographer on the film was Hermes Pan, who worked on many Fred Astaire films. Bob Fosse appears in Kiss Me Kate as a character in the play within a play named Hortensio, one of the 3 suitors for Ann Miller's Bianca character in the same show. During the song From This Moment On, the young men share their own individual dancing styles, which were worked out by Hermes Pan, but Fosse was allowed to choreograph his own dancing for the segment of the song himself, which shows off early versions of what would become his signature dancing style. His dancing partner in that number was Carol Haney, who would later appear in Fosse's first Broadway show as a choreographer, The Pajama Game. Fact 5. Did you know that Star Fox 64 has a mission that is a direct reference to the movie Independence Day? The mission, Katina Frontline Base Reunion, takes place in an arena area where you have to fight off alien ships and finally destroy the giant mothership. The location looks like a giant desert area, a reference to the final battle seen in Independence Day. There is even a character in the game named Bill Gray, a friend of the game's protagonist, Fox McCloud, another reference to the character of General William Gray, played by Robert Loggia in the film. Star Fox 64 came out in 1997, a year after Independence Day, so it was only natural to include a level based on that film. Fact 6. Did you know that one song from West Side Story, which was written for another Leonard Bernstein musical, was reworked into another moment in the show? The song One Hand, One Heart, which was originally written for Leonard Bernstein's previous musical, Candide, was going to be the song used for the famous balcony scene between Tony and Maria. But it was eventually found that the song was too melancholy sounding for a love at first sight type of song, so Bernstein and Stephen Sondheim took the quintet version of the song Tonight, repurposed it, gave it new lyrics, and created the iconic moment in the musical where two star-crossed lovers were literally singing in the air. Fact 7. Did you know that the song Come What May for Moulin Rouge was the only original song in the film? All other songs were covers. It was originally written for Baz Luhrmann's previous film, Romeo and Juliet, but was ultimately not used. Unfortunately, because it was to have been used in another film, this made Come What May ineligible to receive an Academy Award nomination for Best Original Song. The same fate sadly befell composer Nino Rota and his score for The Godfather when it was discovered that most of the music was written for and cut from another film. Fact 8. Did you know that the Nintendo 64 version of Resident Evil 2 had a lot of extra content that wasn't found in the original PlayStation release? For a game released on a cartridge, the developers at Capcom were able to fit all of the game's cinematics on it, and also add extra detail to the character models, albeit in a more compressed but advanced form that had been seen in any N64 game at the time. The port itself was only done by a team of about 10 people from a game company called Angel Studios, with input from Capcom and Factor 5, which had lots of experience in getting high-quality content from compression. The port even has an extra section of 16 hidden documents that tell some of the game's backstory, and also content seen in future games that had not even been released yet, titled X-Files, not to be confused with the TV show of a similar title. There's also such options as adjusting the level of gore in the game and even changing the color of the blood. This version of the OG RE2 is considered one of the best ports. Fact 9. Speaking of Factor 5, did you know that the game Star Wars Rogue Squadron, which was developed by them, came out about 6 months before the release of Episode 1, The Phantom Menace? Before the game's release, Lucasfilm shared some art of the movie spacecraft, including the Naboo starfighter. LucasArts ended up hiding the craft in the game as an unlockable, but the code to unlock it was not shared with gamers until after the film's release. Again, it took 6 months after the game was released for the code to be shared with gamers. And it was apparently so well hidden that not even a Game Shark could unlock it, as there was code in the game to specifically block access to it. Another vehicle that was unlockable in the game as a joke was a 1969 Buick Electra 225 that belonged to one of the game's sound designers. Fact 10. Did you know that the first Shrek movie took a lot of potshots at Disney? First off, the movie was made by DreamWorks, which was founded in part by former Disney CEO Jeffrey Katzenberg. The character of Lord Farquaad was a parody of then Disney CEO Michael Eisner, who had a fierce rivalry with Katzenberg in the 90s. Furthermore, Eisner is a very tall man, while Farquaad is small in stature, which justifies the whole compensating for something joke from Shrek in the movie. And here's my personal favorite tidbit. The whole Welcome to Duloc song that plays when Shrek and Donkey enter Farquaad's Disney-inspired kingdom is played in the same exact key and tempo as It's a Small World. And, bonus fact, if you haven't guessed by now, to further rub salt into the wound, Lord Farquaad's name can also be interpreted as Lord Wad. Touché, Katzenberg. Touché. And here's today's trivia question. We're going back to Moulin Rouge for this one. In the movie, there's a cameo appearance from Australian pop legend Kylie Minogue as the Green Fairy, who the characters hallucinate seeing after drinking absinthe. Minogue, in her Tinkerbell form, sings the refrain of The Sound of Music as she welcomes the characters and the audience to the Moulin Rouge for the first time. However, another music legend was originally going to provide the voice for the Green Fairy in a different form. A male musician, actually. This performer's voice can still be heard when the Green Fairy lets out a huge scream as the camera zooms in on the titular nightclub. My question to you is, which rock icon lets out a giant guttural scream for the Green Fairy in Moulin Rouge? And there we go for this episode. I hope you liked what I dished out for you, and again, I welcome you to my humble home where future episodes and further skits will be taking place here from now on. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and ring the bell to be notified for future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.